You.
Go.
Okay. Starting at the anterior part of the animal, this is the trachea. It is part of the respiratory system. You can see the cartilaginous rings in it, giving it its firmness. It's going to go down into two tubes, which are going to be the bronchial tubes, which you cannot see right now, which lead into this lobed organ in the thoracic cavity. Lateral to the heart, this is the lung, multi-lobes, and the lung on this side here is here. Deep to the trachea is the soft esophagus. This is part of the digestive, going from the mouth to the esophagus. It's the food tube that moves the food down here into the stomach. Medial to the lungs is the heart. Covering the heart is the pericardium, which is the serous tissue that secretes serous fluid, which decreases friction between the heart and the lung. When you remove that, there is a little bit of fluid there, the serous fluid. You can see the heart medial between the two lungs. Has two auricles on top, which deep inside that are going to be your atria and your two ventricles. The large dome-shaped muscle here that separates out the thoracic cavity from the abdominal pelvic cavity is the diaphragm. You can see the esophagus here entering. This is the esophagus here. Entering the domed diaphragm and continuing into the stomach. The stomach is a large J-shaped organ here, large J-shaped organ here. This is serous tissue covering the abdominal cavity. This is called the peritoneum, and when you remove the peritoneum, it'll reveal the rest of the organs. At the anterior end of the abdominal pelvic cavity is a large lobed organ called the liver. This is the liver, and when you remove some of the lobes to the right-hand side will be a storage bag, a bladder, B-L-A-D-D-E-R. This is the gallbladder, which will secrete bile and other digestive enzymes and cholesterol into digestive enzymes into the small intestine. In order to find the pancreas, you had to find where the stomach is and where it enters the small intestine, and I don't want to remove this for tomorrow's practical exam. There it is. There's going to be a light pink glandular looking tissue right here. This is the pancreas, the head of the pancreas, and the tail of the pancreas coming all the way down here. So you have the head of the pancreas coming all the way down here. It's stuck into the tissue just below the stomach and going all the way over to the small intestine. The beginning of the small intestine is where you have the common bile duct from the pancreas secreting its secretions. It has three different secretions. Bicarbonate, which decreases the acidity. It neutralizes the acidity. It also secretes insulin into the bloodstream to control glucose, and it secretes enzymes that break down fats and proteins. Moves into the small intestine. The intestine has three parts. The most proximal end is the duodenum. That's where digestion is going to begin. It's going to continue to move down into the jejunum, where most absorption takes place. This is where all the nutrients and vitamins and minerals are being absorbed into the bloodstream via the mesentery. You can see the tissue that holds all the blood vessels. It's going to continue to move down to the very end of the small intestine before it goes into the large intestine, right here, into the ileum, where absorption is going to end of the nutrients. It's going to move into the large intestine. You have an ascending large intestine, a transverse, I can't remove the peritoneum. Transverse here, coming again underneath here, transverse, and then descending large intestine. This is where absorption of water and some electrolytes occurs. The food bolus then gets harder and harder and harder until it passes into the rectum and out the anus. If you move this all over here and remove some tissue, you can find a kidney. It's shaped like a kidney bean. This is filtration, filtering out nitrogenous waste, also controlling blood pressure and the amount of water that's going to be removed here, along with some electrolytes get removed as well. Leading from the kidney is a pair. There's one tube here, and on the other side would be the other kidney. There we go. The other kidney is over here. And it would have the ureter here, and there's a ureter underneath here, going into the urinary bladder, which is right here, a large stretchy bag. This is the urinary bladder. Cells are set up to store and void urine. And the last organ here, on the left-hand side, is this large, dark, very firm organ here. This is the spleen. This stores red blood cells, makes some red blood cells, has an immune system function. It's off on the side quite often. People, like in football injuries and car accidents, may have a bruised spleen, or it may actually have to be removed. You could survive without it, but since it has such an immuno response, you have to kind of be careful with your immune system afterwards. And those are the organs that you'll have to know for your practical exam.
Yay.